So I wanted to welcome you once again to our monthly meeting, and I'm really excited to first of all have a chance to see you all, um, and or not see you all, see your names. That's great, and to be able to share some time together. We have 33 submissions for tonight's judging by Calvin, and I have a couple of announcements. Um, Number one is that it's membership renewal time, and we appreciate those who've renewed and look forward to the rest of you to get this done. The sooner that's out of the way, the sooner we don't have to think about it and can move on to other stuff. The user groups. Oh, and if you're wondering where do my dues go now that we're not paying rent and those kinds of things, well, your dues go to pay for our judges and for our Zoom subscription, and also for the bank expense that's there. That's basically the three things that we have as expenses, and we at our current level of about 40 members, we break even on an annual basis. So we're not flush, we're not flushed, but we do appreciate having you as members, and um, at any rate, that's where that stands. The user groups, Photography Basics met last week, and the Adobe Lightroom and Photoshop group, which will meet next Thursday at 6:30, um, are going well. Well, in the sense that those people who are participating are getting good things out of it, and particularly like last time, I took my own. I took my own advice, and I asked the people at the meeting to give me their thoughts on how the images that I presented to them, how they did in terms of standing up to the challenge of love for the month of February. And frankly, I was very surprised that things that hit me as being symbolic of love were not connecting for other people. And so it gave me an opportunity to listen and learn and make adjustments to what it was that I submitted. And I would encourage you to use that user group in that kind of fashion, because you can get some really good feedback from your peers, um, and you don't have to accept it either. You listen, you learn. Um, so I'd like you to, these groups are available to you, and I send an email out during the week before each one with the Zoom link, so that you'll have an opportunity to join. Also, I wanted to bring to your attention that, and I noticed that most of you here are probably members of this, is that we have a private group page for f-stops, where you're able to share images, give and get feedback. You're able to share links to learning opportunities and to suggest shooting locations. We may not be, we may not be going out together in groups and having events like we did in the past, getting together 15, 20 people or 12 or, 7, those kinds of things. But um, we still can put out the ideas about where some really cool stuff is to go shooting. And so that's an opportunity on the private group page. The thing is that you do need to be a member both of our club and have a Facebook account to request membership. If you go to if you do a search on f-stops camera club group, you will find it's there, and you can ask to be allowed in. But again, it's only for our members. We have another f-stops Facebook page that is open to anybody. Um, any questions about that? And if you have a question, you can't talk, so I guess you can't ask it to me, but you could ask it later when we have Q&A. Okay, so sorry, mental glitch here. We've been working with Valley Photo Club, to bring you educational events. And the last one was with Mike Moats on macro photography. And he did a really good job um, sharing with us his techniques and ideas. And um, he had a very good, yes, Marion, thank you. You can use the chat to ask questions, and perhaps I'll even open it up so that I can see it. That might make it even more beneficial. We're working with Valley Photo Club to bring educational events. Mike Moats came, and one of the things that was really cool about his presentation is that he was one of the few photographers doing this sort of thing that was using the everyman kind of equipment, or pretty close to the everyman's kind of equipment. So that rather than using the highest end of everything and then demonstrating his work with that, he was taking middle of the road cameras and lenses that are relatively accessible. And they're not cheap, but they're relatively accessible, and giving us techniques of how to go about macro photography in a way that doesn't kill our pocketbook. And we intend to pursue other opportunities like this, and they may not be at our usual meeting times, like Mike's was done at a 1 o'clock time frame, but we will try to encourage getting the recordings for any of these Zoom events so that you can watch them at your leisure. The only thing you don't get is the ability to ask questions during the presentation, but you'll still be able to get the presentation. Not every one of our presenters is willing to do that. They have a life to live, and they have money that they want to earn as well. So at any rate, I just wanted you to be aware of that. And by working with them, instead of being around 45 people, we're more like 90 people, and that gets camera stores like Hunt's Camera in Maine interested in sponsoring the speakers for us so that we don't end up having to pay for it. Which is delightful. There's certainly no free lunch. They'll want us to look at their equipment and things like that, but we're adults. We can decide if we want to play or not. Some of us are adults. I'm not. I bought a new little light after the meeting, and it works real nicely. Okay, so again, please, if you have questions about how things are going with the club or whatever, write them down. And then when we have the Q&A after the judging process, I'll be happy to talk with you. And you know, the rest of the board, several of the board members are here, and would be happy to hear what you have to say. Without any further going along, I'd like to turn it over to Dan and to Calvin to do the judging for our month of love.
Love, the Love Boat. Real quickly, I just want to sort of apologize again for last month's kerfuffle. We did sort of sort it out and figure out what happened and why, but again, technology is not always our friend. I cannot promise that that kerfuffles won't happen in the future, but we'll do our very best to accommodate and fix and jump in any way we possibly can. But we were able to get it through, and I thank you all for your patience, and we were able to make it work. So Calvin, I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to you. Again, I just requested everybody hold back on your chats and conversation until after the judging, and then we'll open it up and everybody can chime in with questions and discussion. But just so we can keep ourselves focused and Calvin focused on the entries, I'm going to turn it over to you, Calvin. And thank you. Just one more time to remind everybody, Calvin is a photo editor with the Los Angeles Times. And this is now his third time back with us as a judge. He was here with last month, and the theme of love is his he recommended. So Calvin is in your capable hands.
Awesome. Thank you, Dan. And hello, everybody. Good to be back. Hope y'all are doing well. So for this month, chose the theme of love, which I think is very appropriate because Valentine's Day is right around the corner this Sunday. We have a wonderful set of images that I'm going to share with you all right now. Can you see this photo? It's filling the screen. Perfect. All right, so theme of love. Off top, I think this is a nice image, nice in focus. Colors are nice, high key, you know, composed nicely in a 1:1 ratio, nice and centered. The eyes are level, which is something that I'm looking for in group portraits. Um, the subject in the front, the kid in the front, he's nice and in focus, engaged with the viewer. And yeah, I really like it overall. The one thing that is glaring to me though is that glare, the really big white spot right in the corner, and it's so large that in fact like it comes into his face, which in my opinion is a little distracting. Like I'm trying to like look into the eyes, but then like my gaze is pulled away by this really bright white spot. And maybe it was to clean up the composition, maybe something was there, so it's not something that I'm like super bothered by. It's just it is glaring. Other than that, yeah, the composition is nice. I like the high key nature of the photo. It's a very nice memory. Um, Subject matter is solid, and yeah, overall a very nice image. Ways to improve it: maybe wouldn't burn it so much if you were trying to hide something in there. Maybe have the feather come in a little bit less on his face. So yes, I would give this one a 8.5. Moving on to the next image.
Calvin, is there a way to go full screen on the image? I know we were seeing, at least on my monitor, we're seeing it sort of smaller. Are you
Is
sure?
it in the grid view on your?
I'm looking at the preview, yeah, but I'm seeing, if everybody's seeing it fine, that's fine. I just want to make sure, just so I'm getting it smaller.
Hmm.
All right, no worries.
Is it filling everyone's screen, or here? Let me try again. Share screen. Okay, looks good, huh? Okay, cool. Well, let's see.
All right.
Okay, here we are again. I like this image a lot. Now moving from what I believe would be familial love to a more romantic love with two people kissing. I like silhouettes. This one's done very nicely. Like I like the gradient in the background. I like the composition. I like the moment. It's like right when they kiss, and it's a creative frame. A lot of photos that I see coming from beginning photographers are all shot at eye level, standing level. This one, you could tell the photographer got down a little bit to line the sun up between the two. Um, and yeah, it's a really solid composition. It's not dead center, which I feel like would have thrown the frame off balance because the guy's a little bit larger, so he dominates the frame, which I feel like gives him the larger third. Giving him the larger third really works. Dropping down cleaned up that background, put the emphasis on the action, the kiss, which again I feel like is really nice. The one thing that I do have to say about this photo is that it is back focused, and you can tell by looking here. You can see the mountains are in focus, which makes it suddenly glaring. Like you see that this is not. So again, not something that I'm looking super hard at, but in the future, something to look out for. And it's a common problem when you're shooting into the sun that there's not enough contrast for the autofocus to work properly. So when you're shooting into the sun, maybe consider going into manual focus. It's one of the times that it really helps. So um, yeah, for this one, it looks great. Nice moment. Yeah, I would give this one a solid. I'd give this one a solid 8.5. And moving on, this rose. Roses are a classic symbol of love, and this is a very well lit one. I like the colors. I like the background. It's also lit. Very, very white. Just blown out. and it creates this this light that comes back onto the rose, which I feel gives it those really nice specular highlights on the side. Like the colors, composition. I like that it's not dead center, and I feel two ways about this photo. Part of me is kind of wishes this wasn't here, but if it wasn't there, I'd want it to be centered. So I think it works. Um, but yeah, if it wasn't there, yeah, I'd prefer it to be centered, but it ever so slightly keeps it in balance, which I really like. Um, and it's a nice rose. Pretty straightforward. Um, so yeah. Let me see. Quality is good. Presentation's good. Nice big file, and yeah, I would give this one. I give this one a solid 8. This one, I'm guessing it's the same person, going on the theme of roses. Now this one, it being a composite, I think, I'm pretty sure. Or is it? See, I don't know. But actually, what gives it away is the cutout of the rose and the lighting. So I'm not gonna harp on that too much, but I guess in terms of composition, whereas the other photo was off center, this one is too, but with the symmetrical shape of the jar, I suppose, I think this is something that I would have liked to see centered. I feel like it would have worked better centered. Um, and yeah, I prefer the other one more because you get to see more detail in the rows. This one, the cutout isn't super sharp, so it's a little distracting to me. Other than that, yeah, that's pretty much what my eye goes to. In terms of light, it doesn't match on the rose as it does on the jar. Like you have a specular highlight on the right on the jar, but there isn't any specular highlights on the rose on the right. So it's kind of, I don't know. It looks jarring to me. So yeah, I would give this one 7. And I mean, in terms of improving it, I feel like just cleaning up the cutout would have been really nice, and centering it maybe. So moving on to the next one. This one is a really nice moment. Yeah, I mean, it's an important moment, you know. A newborn baby. I'm guessing they're siblings, brothers or siblings. Um, the composition is okay. There's not a ton that you could have done with the composition, but what I really wish was in this photo was the reaction. Like this is a reaction shot. Like I'm pretty sure this kid's excited, but I would have liked to see the facial expression, which would have been difficult in this moment. But maybe before he got too close to the glass, or maybe if you shot through, or maybe if you looked back. Um, I know things that are out of control, out of our control. I mean, unless you were to call out to him, but it's an image that I think would have been stronger. In terms of composition, I see this being more of a horizontal image. Like, I don't think we need to see everything up here. I don't think we need to see too much of his back. I think the image is right in here. So that could have been done with a crop. Um, I feel like that would have made a more solid image, putting your attention more closely on the focus of the subject, which is this beautiful newborn baby. In terms of other things, I would have maybe toned and colored it differently. The colors look a little flat, and it's a it's a little red overall. So I maybe would have brought in some cooler tones, which I like to do in photos that have red. Actually, going cooler creates more contrast in the photo, which makes it more pleasing to look at. And also, adding a little more contrast adds a little bit of sharpness too. So I think, yeah, a nice little crop and some sharpness would have been really good. Oh, what did I do? One moment. And yeah, I would give this photo an 8. It's a nice moment. Moving on. I like this photo too. I'm a huge fan of detail shots. I feel like a lot of photographers uh, miss the detail shot. So whenever I'm looking at photos and I get that too, I super appreciate it. Um, yeah, and like going on the same theme of, you know, babies and family and that sort of love. I think this fits the theme nicely. Um, you know, small little hand. In terms of composition, I think it's all right. I could see that, you know, not much you could have done with the angle here. The focus is spot on. I maybe would have, I don't know. I like to keep within the 2 to 3 ratio, and if I can, I like to keep it 1 by 1. But I think this image looks fine the way it is. Maybe the color toning a little bit. I might have bumped up the saturation, a little bit of contrast just to add a little more color to it. But other than that, yeah, I like this image. I'd give this photo 7.5. Moving on. This photo, seeing another rose. I think it fits in the theme. It's the thing that stands out to me off top is like the quality of the photo. It looks low res, so it's distracting. Um, I like still lifes a lot. I like that this tells a story. There is love in this image. I mean, like even if you like, let's say you took away the classic symbol of a rose, and it was just a photo of this, what I'm guessing is a passport of some sort or identification. There was a reason for taking it, and there was care put into it. So uh, definitely fits the theme. But yeah, just strictly the image quality is super distracting. The lighting is actually not bad, but yeah, again, the quality is what really brings it down a notch here. Um, let's see what else. Composition, it's solid. I mean, not much to say about it. It's a straightforward presentation. Um, and yes, technical aspects, composition, light. Yeah, I would give this one. I'd give this one a 7. And in terms of improving like quality, um, I don't know how you exported the image, but when you export, maybe export a larger file size. And yeah, that will definitely help when you try to view it later. So moving on. Okay. When I saw this, I was like, okay, I'm pretty sure these are, I mean, shoes from like an important event. I'm guessing a wedding because there's misses in there. But it's just, I mean, in terms of love, yeah, I mean, like it fits the category without a doubt. You know, love wedding. It's a photo of record, uh, June 8th. You know, in terms of composition, um, I don't know. I feel like there's a few ways you could have gone about it. Cutting off the shoes. I know it's not important, but I don't like cutting things off. The top of the shoes, I'm not so worried about, but like hands, not a huge fan of cutting off hands. I know the focus is here, but then also you could see that this on the left is a little bit sharper than this on the right. I'm guessing that's motion blur. But yeah, going along, yeah. I don't know. It doesn't really evoke feelings of love. Like I said, it's more of a photo of a record. So yeah, I mean, and then technically, I might have added a little bit of contrast, maybe a little sharpening and get that a little bit sharper, and a little bit of color correction. Actually, the colors look pretty solid, but like this is super red on the side, but that's probably just because they used flash here, and this is I don't know, like tungsten lighting or something like that. So I'd give this image a 7. This is super cute. Yeah. Oh, I love animals. This horse is awesome. I like it. She obviously just won first place, a bunch of blue ribbons. This looks like it was scanned. Really nice image. Yeah, it looks like film. Um, yeah, it's a really good photo. Like the last photo, it's also a photo that is one of record. This is a victory, and it's a nice moment. Like the embrace of the horse is really nice, and her embracing the horse, it's super cute. In terms of composition, um, I like it. She's centered. It's a tight shot. It's in focus. Good moment. Good smile. It could be color corrected. um, there's some red tones in here, but it's not bad. But I would have cooled it down just a little bit. In terms of editing, like with older photos, like scans and stuff like that, this isn't a huge deal. But like this along here, I either would have cropped that out, or if you don't want to do too much heavy editing, I think darkening the blacks or increasing the contrast would have been nice. It would have increased the sharpness overall as well, which I think it could have used. Um, but yeah, it's a nice moment. Yeah, I'm gonna give this one an 8. That's a kiss. So this photo, straightforward, direct flash. Um, direct flash is like probably like it's the thing that stands out the most to me, and it's like it's not the best flash to use, but when it's dark and that's what you got, it's better to have a well lit direct flash photo than not. You could tell it's direct flash because of the shadows that are just right behind them. Um, direct flash also tends to flatten the image, so you lose dimension, and yeah, it's not the most flattering flash. But that said, composition is straightforward, subjects are centered, it's a nice moment. um, you can see here that you start to see some of the, what's the word, like noise from the camera. um, I'm not sure if it's from the quality or I guess the quality of the camera, or if it's from the exporting of the file. But either way, in post, you can fix that by dropping the blacks or increasing the contrast, which I think would have helped a little bit, just to lose some of the noise in here. Um, Also, the color toning, it's a little red. I would have cooled it just a little bit. Um, but yes, overall, it's a nice image, and yeah, speaks to love directly. So I'd give this one 7.5. Moving on. Um, this photo looks like it was shot around the holidays. Another photo of a kiss, another portrait of love. Um, the thing that stands out to me the most is the busy background. Now, it works for you and it works against you depending on what you want. If you want a clean image, it doesn't really work for you. If that doesn't matter to you, I mean, all these things speak to Christmas, uh, including the PJs, the Santa PJs. Um, so yeah, I mean, I feel like it's a good moment of love. I would have toned it a little more, made it a little bit cooler. Again, this photo is a little red. I would have increased the sharpness, contrast, and composition is a little off. I mean, they're off centered, but the photo feels balanced because, in a way, you have this filling the top, even though they're on the left. So if this was empty, it would feel off balanced, but in a way, it all balances out. Yeah, I would also give this photo a 7.5. Two dogs, two cute dogs, friends. Yeah, I mean, yeah, I think this fits the theme as well. You know, dogs, friends, love our dogs. And in terms of the composition or the photo, it doesn't really strike me as a moment, which is what I feel like we aim for as photographers. Uh, Looks more like a snapshot. The colors are nice, the toning is nice. Um, the one thing that I wish is that it was shot at a different perspective. Going back to like what I said earlier, a lot of photos are taken from standing height. Um, Now, this might have worked for it. Maybe the background was busy, so shooting down to the ground cleaned up the background. But yeah, I maybe would have liked to see it be closer, or maybe have it be taken from crouching height, or maybe, if not that, maybe cropped in a little bit to get rid of some of this negative space, because I feel like this negative space isn't really needed. So yeah, I give this photo, I give this photo a 7. This photo, super cute. I like the treatment. I like the black and white. Um, yeah, it's funny. I'm normally not a fan of black and white, but this black and white was, I think it was done right. Um, Clearly love between the two. Man loves his dog. Dog loves him. You can see the little smile on his face, which is a nice little addition to the photo. Kind of pays off. You kind of have, um, I mean, the connection, like the photos right here, which I feel like is really what makes it. The smile and that. So composition, it's a little straightforward. I feel like had the photo been like a little bit tighter, like in here. But then again, I don't like cutting off people's legs. But I wish that this photo actually, maybe if the photographer was lower, see a little bit more of the face. I don't like obscuring faces. I like seeing reactions and faces, and I feel like that really engages viewers when you see more of the face. But composition straightforward, looks good. Yeah, and yeah, I like the treatment. I feel like it's got a good vibe. I'd give this one an 8. Moving on. This photo really stood out to me. I really like the framing. It's pretty epic. Like if you're gonna kiss somebody, like this is a place to do it, right? Um, yeah. Uh, I maybe would have brought up the shadows a little bit. That's the first thing. And actually, well, the most jarring thing is like the silhouette photo that we saw earlier, this photo is also back focused. But I don't know. It doesn't bother me too much because that sure is an epic background, but you know it does because the central focus of this photo is right here and it is out of focus because I'm guessing the autofocus caught this or maybe it's on a tripod and they focused for the mountains and then they hopped into frame. But either way, if you increase your aperture, if this was shot at a smaller aperture to get everything in focus, or if it was hyper focused, I feel like it would have made for a much nicer image. Um, they're backlit, so everything in the shadow is going to be a little desaturated, but I maybe would have tried to bring up the shadows and saturate it a little bit more. But overall, you know, I do like this image. I think it's an epic moment And yeah, a nice little keepsake, nice little memory. Yeah, I'd give this one an 8.5, even though it is back focused. But yeah, I think it's really nice. Yeah, I got nothing else to say about that. But actually, maybe like, yeah, contrast with the highlights. If you bring down the highlights, you could have like brought the blue out more in the sky. But yeah, it's nice. Okay, 8.5. Yeah, super solid. Moving on, we have a statue. And yeah, it speaks to love. You know, it looks like a mother and a child in statue form. The colors are super, like, they're like super vibrant. I feel like, if anything, maybe this was the shadows like pushed up in post. And I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing. I feel like, but maybe I would have brought back some of the contrast, at least in the tree, because in photography, your eye goes to the brightest spot. I'm not looking at this when I open this photo. My eye just goes back here. The first thing I'm looking at. I do like that it's a clean background, though. I do like that you got low. I'm guessing that wasn't too much of a choice because I'm guessing the statue was up high, but it does make for a cleaner image. So I do like that. In terms of framing, it kind of framing composition, it kind of bothers me that you can't see her face. So maybe if it were like, I don't know, maybe a step over to the right to get a little bit more of the face, that might have helped. But yeah, other than that, yeah, that's let's see, subject matter. Yeah, I'd give this one a 7. This one right here, it's super cute. Two birds. Um, Again, like the dogs, it's like the idea of friends. You know, animals love too. So I think it definitely fits the theme. The first thing that stands out to me though is the quality of the image, which I feel like it isn't a huge thing, but it's enough that I notice it, which takes away from the image. I mean, yeah, first thing I notice is the birds, but then I come in here and it also looks like some post work was done here too. Maybe I'm wrong, but like this looks like maybe it was like a brush. I'm guessing maybe there's like some trash in the background or something like that. So they duplicated this to get rid of it, which I think, if so, then cool. Because it definitely helped the image, but maybe feather it a little more so it's not so jarring. Other than that, I definitely would have added some contrast to this, uh, just to make it pop just a little more and a little more saturation, maybe a little more vibrance. And in terms of cropping it, I might have brought it in just a little bit more. Like I feel like with this being the central focus, maybe this would have been better as maybe a 1x1, or if not a 1x1, maybe just like crop into here, which might have ultimately contributed to the noisiness of the image. But to combat that, you could use something like, what is that? Dehaze, or instead of going sharper, you could have made it softer with something like going left on the clarity bar. Yeah, so generally, when I photo edit, if it's just super noisy, people always go, oh, I'm going to use sharpen. But before going sharpen, maybe try to make it softer, because you start to lose noise when you go softer. But, you know, something to keep in mind when you're editing your photos. This photo, I'd give it a 7. Now, this photo, they clearly love their wine. That is a lot of corks. So this one, I wasn't so sure what the concept was. And yeah, at first I thought it was just a bunch of corks. But if you look at this next image, it's a heart. So I'm going to kind of switch between these two to talk about maybe what could have been done to make it a better image, because I do like that it was a concept that they came up with and then they executed it. I feel like that not a lot of photographers have that. I mean, a lot of photographers, they go out and they photograph what they see, and that's great. But I feel like coming up with a concept and creating it, I feel like that leans more toward the art category, more toward the, I guess, photo illustration side of photography. Um, and yeah, a couple things about this image. I feel like the only reason that the glass is cropped here is because you didn't have a big enough background. And I also feel like it's angled because you didn't have a big enough background. But I think, like, I mean, had you a big enough background, it would have been nice to see this heart straight up. Uh, Here, I'm not really digging the glass because it obscures the fact that this is a heart. I didn't know it was until I saw this next image, which I feel like is better in ways. It's better exposed. This one's a little too blown out. And this one's a little dark, but at least it's not overexposed. And yeah, going on about the framing, yeah, like it's a little tight. I wish it was straight up, centered, and to give you more like room to play with it. But yeah, concept is nice, and the color toning, I would have toned it a little differently. I would have made the colors more neutral to give it more contrast, and then yeah, I think that would have made it more poppy because this just looks like, you know, room light. But had you adjusted the colors to be more neutral, I feel like you would have got more of a pop. So yeah, I'd give this one a 7.5. Moving on, nice little moment. Oh, I love dogs. Composition straightforward, and it looks like I can't really tell, but I think the shadows were brought up on her face, which I think is nice. And overall, it looks like it looks a little dark to me, but maybe that's just my preference. But actually, I would have brought it up for the sake of not having her brightened face look so jarring, because as you can see here, this natural light here, that looks normal, but then the shadows that were brought up on her face start to look not natural. If you bring up the overall brightness of the image, it's less jarring. um, so if the brightness of the overall image was just bumped up just a tad, I don't think it would stand out to me. I don't know if it stands out to you guys. It stands out to me. Um, and then also, I feel like if it were toned, if you were to just make the image a little bit cooler or a little bit warmer, um, I guess, made the toning between the natural light and this shadow that was pulled up look more natural because it'd be a little more uniform. Um, but overall, nice image, good moment, nice smile, and yeah. I'd give this photo. I'd also um, give this photo an 8. Nice moment, cute portrait. Um, it's a little tight, but it works. It's a little tight, but it's not too tight. I like the moment, like the smiles. I maybe would have brought a little more contrast into this photo and make those shirts pop. I feel like yeah, I feel like this photo a little more contrasty, make it pop. It would make a very nice image. Um, and let me see, one moment. I feel like the contrast would make it a little bit sharper. And hmm, Yeah, I wish it was a little more loose. Um, but the aperture is nice, separates them from the background real nice. And yeah. And again, image, I would have made it just a little bit cooler. And yeah, it's a really nice moment. I'd give this one an 8. Another nice moment. Um, Technically everything is nice. The exposure is nice. The moment is nice. The one thing that stands out to me though in this photo is the composition. Um, like the crop just makes this arm, well, the framing. When you put limbs at the edge of frames, or when you cut them off like this, they look larger. So I feel like the solution would have been to either come in closer and bring the frame in tighter around here to focus on this interaction, or go a little wider so that her arm isn't cut in a weird way. Yeah, definitely like watch the edge of your frame when you have body like arms and limbs at the edge, because it will emphasize them when you cut them in a weird way or if you cut them in the wrong spot. But yeah, this is a super nice moment. Colors look nice. I like the separation. I like the wide aperture, blurring out the background, creating a nice little pattern. I like the contrast in light, really makes them pop from the background. And yeah, I like the interaction. It's a funny moment. And yeah, I give this one a solid 8. Another funny moment, like I said, animals love too. And I like this. 2 lizards, 2 uncuddly creatures getting cuddly, you know? Um, Little something though, like it looks like it was shot at a super wide aperture. This eye's in focus, this one's not, but then you see that this eye and the beard of this one are on the same plane because they're both in focus. So if you stop down a little bit, I feel like you would have had enough of a plane to get both of their heads in focus. But you know, very good moment. I like the framing. Going back to cutting off limbs, um, I wish the hand wasn't cut off, but maybe it was done for good reason. But regardless, I think the composition is nice. The eyes are level. They're placed near the third of the frame. I really like the bokeh in this photo. It makes it the background look like, what's the word I'm looking for? Like impressionistic. It's just like it's a nice even um, color gradient, and yeah, it's a really cool photo. The only thing that I wish it had was a little more sharpness around here, and I also maybe would have added a little bit of contrast. And yeah, overall nice image. Um, yeah, I would give this photo an 8. And moving on, another cute photo. Um, Now, this photo is, you could see the noise in this photo, but it doesn't bother me. It feels more stylistic. So I actually like it about the photo. It makes it feel homey. It feels comfy, especially with these little cuddly stuffed animals here. I like the eye contact. I mean, this is clearly like a photo of, you know, someone that you love. And I feel like that was like the whole point of the assignment. And yeah, I think it's a nice image. It's a nice memory that you're going to keep. And that was really the main point of this assignment, to feel love, to create memories of your loved ones, and to, you know, get some photography in at the same time. And I think it's really nice. The eye engagement is really nice. I like the colors in this photo. I like the orange and green of the turtle. I like the orange of the fox. Um, it's nice composition. And yeah, I mean, if anything, I maybe would have lost some of the matte here. I feel like if this was put into a 3:2 ratio, it would cut like right here and it would make a really nice frame across. Other than that, I maybe would add a little contrast. I feel like I've been saying that a lot, but I like seeing contrast. Just a tiny little bit though, just to make it a little bit sharper around here. And yeah, other than that, it's a nice solid image. I'm gonna give this one an 8 as well. Moving on. I like this moment. You know, it's a moment in the kitchen. I think they're, you know, baking or something. Um, but yeah, this is where I feel differently about this one. And I'm guessing it's the same photographer, same camera, but the noise in this one doesn't feel like it does here. And I think it's because of the quality of light. And I feel like it really speaks to it really like the quality, like your camera, like it could be, you know, some starter camera or it could be some pro camera, but it's really about the light. Had this been in good light, I feel like it would have been a super solid image, but then it starts to get, you know, noisy in the shadows. And also, I see some hands here. I feel like this would have been better as a horizontal image. Why you got to cut out grandma? You know, she was there too. And I feel like even though it's a nice moment between these two, these hands leave me wanting more. I wish that I got to see the full picture. In fact, yeah, I really think this would have been a better horizontal image. And speaking of moments, I feel like in terms of photography, like decisive moment, everything, um, maybe it would have been cool to get it while whatever was in the cup was pouring. Because right now it looks like they're looking into an empty bowl with an empty cup and like you don't know what they're making. So in terms of storytelling and in terms of photography, that's a little more engaging. I feel like it would have been a little reward for the viewer to see what they're seeing in the bowl. In terms of technical stuff, again, I would have made it a little bit cooler. This image looks a little bit warm. I would have increased the contrast, which would also downplay the noise in the shadows. And yeah, um, it's a nice moment. I'm going to give this 7.5. This photo, I feel lots of ways about this photo. Um, like technically, you know, it's not sharp. It's yeah, it's a little blurry, but I mean, it makes you feel things, right? And the eye contact from this horse is super intense, and I feel like just the layering of the eyes. It's like, okay, these, I'm guessing it's a horse. These horses are, you know, they're very close to each other, which I feel like also plays to the theme of love. And the eye contact from this horse just makes it like, I don't know, it engages you. And then you think, and then like you see these textures and these patterns and the texture in the fur. And I don't know, it just makes for a really nice photo. Um, do I wish it was sharper? Actually, I don't know. I kind of like the low fi nature of this photo. I like the, again, I'm not a huge fan of black and white. I wonder what this would have looked like in color, but I do like this image a lot. It takes it away from the norm. I feel like, you know, if this was shot by somebody else, it may have just been a straightforward photo of two horses standing next to each other. But this concept took it outside of that. They got closer, or they cropped in, they zoomed in, and they made a photo that was different, which I super appreciate in photography. Yeah, I like this photo a lot, and the framing is nice. I like the gradient. I like that there is contrast in this image. It starts here, it's super dark, and it goes to light, which makes a better experience for the viewer. Your eye starts, you know, in the brightest spot or in this focal point, and it kind of just leads you. You look at the texture, and it's bookended by this darkness. So yeah, I like it. I give this one an 8.5.
Calvin, I'm
Moving on
sorry,
to
you
the next
broke up.
one.
Can you give me that score again, please?
8.5.
Thank you.
This image, like I was saying, is a little more typical of what you might see from a photographer. You know, straightforward image of two horses. And I think this image also falls under the category of love. It looks like, you know, a younger horse with its mom. And yeah, I like the feel. Doesn't have the same impact as the other one, but yeah, I kind of wish it was framed differently. That was the first thing like I noticed about this photo. It doesn't really feel balanced. That said, I'm pretty sure they were moving really quick and you're just trying to grab the shot. But to make it better, I feel like you could have balanced the frame by either cropping out the extra grass and, you know, crop it like maybe right about here just to center them, or maybe just crop a little bit off this edge to, you know, make it a little more balanced. Other than that, it looks a little soft. I feel like that could have been improved with a little bit of contrast, a little bit of saturation, maybe a little sharpness to, you know, make it pop a little bit more. Because yeah, maybe I think this is motion blur, but had you increased your shutter speed, maybe it would have been a little bit sharper. But yeah, it is a nice image. I give this photo a 7. The first thing I see in this photo is just the quality is just not there. And I don't know if it exactly fits the theme of love. I mean, these are parents, they definitely love their children, but I don't know. Let's say it does, you know, they do love one another, and, you know, this uh, just feels off balance. Kind of like, I don't know. I wish their reflections weren't cut off. I wish they were a little more centered in the frame. And yeah, I just wish the quality wasn't so jarring. Um, but yeah, for those reasons, I would have to give this a 6. And in terms of creating a better image, I would definitely have included this shadow right here. I mean, this reflection here. And I mean, actually, like the toning looks really nice. It looks like a vibrant image. I just wish it was of better quality. But yeah, I'd give this one a 6. This photo, like the last photo, the quality just stands out to me. And it just, yeah, like you see the artifacts from the camera, which I find super distracting. And that could be improved by doing color adjustment, by toning the image, and by adding contrast. And but you know, it's a nice image. You know, it's a moment of love. I just wish it was framed a little bit better. I wish they were like a little bit here, more here, so she wasn't falling out the frame. Wish this negative space, like the negative space, is really taking over this image. And if they were a little bit higher, it would have been great. But yeah, in terms of this photo, like I don't like to say that, you know, cameras are a big deal, but I mean, like the quality of the image is definitely like taking away here, and it could have been improved given better light. Again, like yeah, it doesn't have to be a high quality photo camera if you have good light. So I feel like light would have been a really nice addition to this image. But it's a nice moment. I'm going to give this one a 6.5. And moving on. This photo right here, the first thing that echoed in my head was my Photo 101 teacher saying, don't take photos of backs, don't take photos of butts, or trash cans, which is also right here. And like, I think it fits the theme. This is a married couple, I'm guessing. I mean, she's wearing a dress and everything, and I'm guessing this is her like bridal party and everything. So maybe this is like a pre-photo shoot. But yeah, the photo is of them being photographed. And the photo that I want to see is the one that shows their faces, the one that shows, you know, their expressions. And the photographer over here is the one that got that. Had the photographer moved over to, you know, include the faces and all that, I think it would have been a better perspective. And yeah, I mean, always, and then also maybe getting lower. I mean, to clean up the background, it's a pretty messy background, or getting higher, which you could do by like raising your camera so that you get more of the ground and less of the people in the background. I do see the gaze of the person here, but I don't know. My eye just kind of wanders when I look at this frame. I look here and then I'm like, okay, sponsored by Sony. And then now I'm over here. So I feel like I'm not really brought in by this photo. So yeah, I mean, and then in terms of like technical things, it's a solid exposure. It's exposed well. Framing, I see the framing that they were trying to do. So, you know, no points taken off for framing. But yeah, I'm gonna give this one a 7. I like this photo a lot. And yeah, there's a lot going on in this photo. But this photo, unlike the last one, has a central focus. Your eye goes directly right here. One thing that I wish about the photo is I wish it was a little bit tighter and a little bit higher. I wish I could have seen this ornamentation up here. Maybe that would have like, you know, busied up the photo a little bit. But then also, I feel like I want to see the details in here. Like my eye goes here, and then I kind of wish I had more detail here so that I could see what this is. It's some beautiful tiling. It's some beautiful decoration. And I feel like I need less of this. Like I maybe would have like ended my frame here and then brought this in more up here. And then maybe even like, I don't know. Actually, the sides are fine. But yeah, I maybe would have like raised the frame, got a little bit closer. I know it's a little awkward, but I do like this frame a lot. Huge fan of street photography. So I like the colors, but I wish it was just a little bit brighter. I feel like it would have made it more vibrant. It would have made this detail in here easier to see, easier to distinguish. But overall, I like the photo. I like the moment. It feels like they're part of this entire you know, mural. So yeah, I'm gonna give this one. I'm gonna give this one an 8. This is a really nice moment. Yeah, it's a really nice memory. I hope whoever's in this photograph gets to keep this, because that kid is going to look back on this photo and is going to remember this day. And that's what this assignment was all about, you know, creating memories with loved ones. I like the separation that you used using your aperture. You isolated your subject by doing that, and it's tack sharp. It looks really good. It's a nice moment. Little kiss on the head. Very California moment. But I wonder, in terms of composition and framing, like when people are walking, I like to give them space to walk into. Now, this isn't a big deal, but had these two been like right here in the frame, I feel like in this third of the frame, I feel like it would have made for a stronger image. maybe that couldn't be done because there's like other people over here, but regardless, it's a nice moment, good colors. As much as it pops from the aperture, from the bokeh, I kind of wish that it was given a little more contrast and a little more color to make these colors pop. So, it's a really good photo. Yeah, I'm gonna give this one an 8 as well. This is a super cute moment. I like it. The first thing that stands out to me is that like the colors are kind of they're kind of flat. I would have again made it a little bit cooler, increased the contrast, and I feel like if you do that, this photo would be on point. I like the moment. I like her expression. I like that she's looking at the camera, and yeah. If there's anything I want to say about the framing, I maybe wish that the frame was over to the right a little bit. You have this negative space here that I feel like would be better on this side. You would have got more of this like little sequin dress. You would have got more color into the frame. But yeah, other than that, it's a really nice photo. Yeah, I'm going to give this one an 8. And I like this a lot. Again, going back to concepts, like this is not a photo that somebody that just, or maybe it is somebody that just picked up a camera would make. They thought about it. I don't know if it was staged or any of that, but either way, the photographer was like, I'm going to make a different photo, and they made this. I think it's super cute. In terms of framing, not a big deal, but as a photo editor, I'm always looking at horizon lines. Kind of wish this was straight, but not a big deal. In terms of grading and coloring, I kind of wish it was a little bit cooler and a little more saturated, contrasty. I sound like a broken record, but I think it looks a little flat. I feel like the colors could have been brought up more, and again, I would have added just a little more blue to take some of the red out of the skin tones. I'm going to give this photo. I'm going to give this photo an 8 as well. And that brings us to the end.
Wonderful. Thank you very much, Calvin.
Yeah.
Well, we'll go ahead, and I think everybody can unmute themselves if you have questions and discussion. But this was great, really educational, very, very helpful, and sets the mood for Thanksgiving, or Thanksgiving, because I'm the turkey, for Valentine's Day, one of those holidays. Thank you very much, Calvin.
Yeah, you're very welcome. If you guys have any questions, please feel free to ask. And if you want me to pull up an image, I can do that as well. Here are all of them in grid view.
I also want to thank you. A lot of really good insights, which is what we're really looking for is all that stuff that goes on in your head. You did a great job letting us know what was there. Thank you.
And it's a really nice set of images. I really liked looking at your guys' work. And yeah, I mean, I feel like if you just keep on shooting, yeah, I tell this to all the photographers that I know. They always ask me like, how do I become a better photographer? I'm like, just keep on shooting. That's the one thing that you can do to get better. And yeah, and you'll naturally get feedback. If you hang out with other photographers, they'll tell you what they think. And if you seek critique, I feel like that just like puts you ahead of everybody else because you're actually trying to learn. So I love doing little sessions like this. I could talk about photography forever, the little nuances. So again, yeah, if you guys have any questions, feel free.
Calvin, on the picture of the two horses, what looks like a mayor and a colt. I was wondering if if the photographer didn't, I'd be curious to whoever shot that picture, uh, whether they were going for a watercolor effect, because it looked like they took a regular photo and treated it like it was more painterly.
Yeah, I'm not sure if the photographer would like to say anything about that.
Not this one.
Oh,
The
oh, the other one.
the two horses with the grasses.
Here,
They
let me.
look like wild horses.
Yeah, the like a mare and a colt,
Yes, let me pull that up real quick.
but it looked like rather than an image that could be made to look like a more of a photograph, it
Mhm.
looked like the maker may have wanted to make it look like a painting.
I see. I see.
That's what I saw. Which, if that's the case, then it worked.
Yeah, yeah, definitely.
I really like the colors.
Well, it looks like a watercolor to me.
Yeah,
So I
yeah,
was
it does.
just curious if the maker is here, whether they'd say if that's what they were going for.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
Going back one though to the shot of the two horses in the eye. I just want to acknowledge that I think that, as you said, it's something you don't see all the time, and that's what made it really, really interesting.
Yeah.
The your eye goes right to the two eyes, which is
Mhm.
interesting. And as you said, even though it's not sharp, it's grainy, but there's just something that it's really compelling because you're drawn. Your eye goes set right to the eyes. I just think it's
Yeah.
a very interesting approach. Um,
I mean, yeah, definitely. Yeah,
now,
when
you said though, you said that you were not crazy about black and white pictures. And I'm just curious why that is, since there's such a body of work out there that isn't black and white.
yeah, I know. It's funny because I don't know, because I come from a photojournalism background, and I feel like when I look at photos, I'm looking for, accurate colors. I'm looking for sharpness. I'm looking for real life. And I feel like when you're composing a photo, color is one of the things that is a part of your composition. And I feel like when you remove it, especially as a photojournalist, I feel like you're removing an element of reality that doesn't do a service to the reader. So personally, that's how I feel about it. But given an image like this, one that isn't about documenting, that isn't about telling a story accurately like we do in news, all that goes out the window. Like now I'm looking at art. So I guess when I look at photographs, I'm either looking at photojournalism or I'm looking at art. And I feel like there is an overlap, but when you get to an image like this where it's like, it's become abstracted in a way, um, I am definitely a lot more lenient. Like it doesn't need to be sharp. It doesn't need to be in color. It doesn't need to be, you know, um, perfect, you know. But yeah, in terms of why I don't like black and white, part of it is what I said before. It's like, I think it's part of composition and it's a part of reality that you're taking away. But another reason I don't like black and white is because a lot of photographers that I see, they'll take a boring image and then they'll turn it black and white. And then it's like, then people like it. And and I'm like, okay, well, that's one thing. But if you shoot with the intention of shooting in black and white, or if you're working on an art piece and it looks better in black and white, I'm for it. But if you take a whatever photo and you make it black and white, and then you increase the contrast like crazy, and you show it to me, and it's not great, then I'm not going to be impressed. Like it really. I feel like when I look at black and white photography, my bar actually goes up because I'm like, well, this better be good, you know. Yeah,
It's
yeah.
interesting.
And also, I feel like, at least in my mind, when I see black and white photography, I subconsciously feel like it's film. So, I mean, and then I guess if it is film, part of me is like, I don't know. I guess I'm a little tougher on film shooters too, which doesn't make sense because it's harder to shoot film. But like again, I feel like, if you're gonna make black and white photos, like, yeah, I do raise the bar for black and white photography. It's got to be good. It can't just be a snapshot. If it's a snapshot in black and white, I'm not interested.
Thank you.
Isn't that true in color too? I mean, if it's just a snapshot in color,
True, but I feel like color photography is more common than black and white photography. So I feel like making it black and white, like intentionally making it black and white, you're trying to make it different. And I don't think you should get points for making something black and white. At that point, I'm looking at the subject matter, and if it's not great, then yeah, I'm not impressed.
yeah, I think that I also kind of raised the bar on black and white, and
Mhm.
I am looking for structure. I'm looking for texture. I'm looking for a story. I'm looking for more.
Yeah.
And I don't. And the reason that I like to do some black and white images is the color sometimes is distracting.
Mhm.
You sometimes you lose the point of the image because of the colors,
Yeah, I
or
agree.
you lose the texture because of the colors, and also. But I get that notion of if you're going to do something in black and white and you're going to put yourself up against the black and white photographers, you better be doing it really well.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I guess coming from a photojournalism standpoint, I don't like black and white, mainly because I feel like you're removing that element of composition, and in some ways it might make it easier for you because, like, let's say you have a busy you have a busy scene and then you remove the color. It's like, well, now you don't need to worry about composing your frame to take colors into consideration, which I feel like is cheating if you're doing photojournalism. Now, if you're doing, just photography and shooting for your own fun, I have no problem with people shooting black and white. I think it looks good when done right, and I think this is done right. I think this is done really right. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, I like it a lot. And also another thing about black and white photography is you really have to mind your light. I feel like in a lot of color photographs, people let parts of their photo go blown out, just get blown out. But in black and white, you can't do that too much, because if you do, then half your frame is just going to be pure white. So
Josh,
maybe you're looking for.
Josh had his hand up a ways back. Josh, do you want to ask a question?
Oh, yeah, well, it's already been answered. It was about this whole black and white versus color issue.
Okay.
And it's already been addressed. Well, I'll just say, I'm an old film guy. I used to do my own film development and enlarging, and so my default is kind of black and white until proven otherwise.
Yeah.
And I'll do color if I think there's something about the color itself which adds to the photo. Otherwise, I default to black and white. I mean, that's just my personal preference.
No, that's cool. I like that. And I love film. I feel like the process is just keeps things simple, But yeah, yeah, I really like this one.
Cool. Any other questions?
Any other questions?
Yeah, I had one. How did you know that the photograph of the girl with the horse and the ribbons was film?
How did I know?
How did you know that was scanned, a scanned
Oh,
film?
well, I knew because of the texture on the photo. It wasn't a photo. Here, let me pull it up.
That was my daughter's first horse show.
Oh, nice. That's awesome.
Not bad for a first horse show.
No, that was
Yeah.
yeah.
What do you do for the second?
Well, we went from the time she was 10 and a half to 21. And her horse went away to college with her.
Oh,
You
my.
know, I can tell because of the texture on the photo. It's not from the photo, it's from being printed.
Oh,
And also, on top of that, the colors look like film. And if I had to guess, this is like Portrait Gold or like, I mean, not Portrait, it's Kodak Gold or Kodak.
yeah, probably was Kodak Gold.
Yeah. Yeah. Kodak film tends to be a little more red.
Yeah.
She's green.
Yeah, so I love film. Like, so I look at a lot of it. I look at a lot of film photography, and yeah, when I see it, like even if there wasn't this texture, I would also guess it was film because like you can't really see the grain.
Right. Yeah,
but
'cause it
because
was
it's scanning, but
probably
you could almost
under
see
the
it.
ASA or
Yeah, this is probably like 100, right?
huh?
This is probably like 100 ASA. You said?
Yeah, 100.
Yeah, yeah. You can't really see it, but it feels like film.
Yeah. I was just curious because that's an old picture. My daughter is now 39.
I found this assignment more difficult than many of them because it was, the subject of love. I wanted to get out and shoot more like street photography or that kind of thing, but with COVID, not so great. People with masks on, it's a
Mhm.
little harder to get some of that stuff. So I also used this is the first time I've ever used images from other times. I almost always, well, actually, I have always, over the time that I've been in the club, I've always shot to the assignment. And this time I tried different ideas and I didn't find anything that I thought was compelling enough. And
Mhm.
so I just went back through through my library until I could find things that I thought really, did some justice to the subject.
That's what I had to do too.
And I did, and I'll tell you something though, and you said it, Calvin, very, very right. And this goes back to the wine glass and the heart of corks. And I don't know who did that, but the idea, I never thought about it until you talked about it, was I could have easily done a tabletop setup that had love in it as a theme because I don't have to go out and shoot. And so based on what we talked about tonight, that's something I'll have to look at for an assignment where maybe I don't know how to approach it by going out. Maybe I can build a tabletop setting that, so we have a still life or some sort of a composition,
I did
where
that.
you can do that.
I did that, Dan. I have a really beautiful Waterford vase that the top of it makes a heart, and I stuck that in the middle of a bunch of mums and had it come up out of the mums so that there's a heart in the middle of all the pretty flowers. And it was cool, but I'm thinking, yeah, to me, love is about people. It isn't just the symbol of a heart. A heart, heart's a nice symbol and things, but to me, it's more about it's the connection, it's the caring, it's the connection.
Yeah.
And if
Yeah.
it doesn't have that, to me, it's not really speaking to my heart.
Yeah. Actually, when I was looking through all these photos, that was kind of one of the things that I was looking for. I was looking for interaction because, I mean, I feel like that's where it's hard to visualize love, but when you have two people two people, it makes it a little bit easier. Um, and yeah, I mean, I feel like that's how it is for anything with like abstract ideas, like how do you show love? It's like it's definitely got to be an interaction. If not, it's gonna be
I had a lot of
something-
fun with. I wrote about 2 pages in my journal about what does love mean to me, and I just wrote and wrote and wrote and wrote, and then I went back and circled things that I thought I could shoot.
Mhm.
And from that standpoint, I thought it was really a good assignment for me because I learned a lot about how do I feel about it, what makes me feel, what do I feel about love and all.
That's awesome. I love that
So it's fun.
process. That sounds amazing. I mean, yeah, I guess I do something similar when I'm trying to come up with story concepts at work, but yeah, that sounds super cool. I didn't think to do that for this. And yeah, I shot a little bit too, and yeah, it is really hard. It's like it's yeah, what do you shoot? And everything here is pretty much what I was thinking, people kissing, people that love each other, people, animals. And yeah, I guess like
I'd love to play with. I'm gonna play more with hands. That's a subject that has really captivated me on doing street photography on the metro,
Mhm.
and just taking pictures of people's hands, people holding hands, people not holding hands, where they place them, and stuff like that.
Mhm.
There's some hands are amazing subjects.
That's cool.
I'd be curious to know if anybody else had a problem addressing love as a theme. We've got a full, house of entries, but I'm just curious if anyone else.
I did. I really want to acknowledge all of the photographers that submitted things. I got intimidated by, trying to go out and shoot something that said love. And then as soon as I see all of these different artists with their interpretation, it's like, oh, wow. Yeah. They're all over the place. With this kind of addressing the subject, I say intimidated. So I didn't submit anything. Couldn't get my head around it.
I didn't find it a difficult subject. I have to be very honest. I mean, everybody comes at it differently, but I looked at a lot of these shots and it didn't say love to me at all.
Hmm.
Not, I mean, a number of them do, but a lot of them, I looked at them and said, they're a moment, it's people, it's a moment, but it didn't say love. I thought the subject was pretty straightforward. I think, Lloyd, your comment about trying to do it, and like you, I generally try, except for COVID, to go out and shoot the assignment and not go back into my inventory. This was, fortunately, you have stuff in inventory you could pull up. I had stuff I could pull up. I didn't find the subject hard to understand at all.
Oh, good.
Love is such a broad topic. You could be simple with it and you could be more complex with it because it could mean like so many things. As far as like just a simple kiss to a more complex, fighting for life kind of thing.
I almost submitted a picture that I did of Jerry when we went shooting, where he had never seen an Egyptian goose before, and he was shooting pictures of it. And I got a shot of him shooting, and it was just a 3/4 profile of this side of his face while he was shooting, but he was smiling, and he was totally happy. And for me, that was, here's a person who is loving what they're doing, loving the moment, and being joyful. And to me, I guess I have a pretty broad view of love. It's connection, it's compassion. It can be just a look, and it can be much more complex. But Jerry, that was just your enjoyment of that moment was love of the moment.
Wow. If you get a chance, I'd sure like to see that one. I think for all of us, I'll speak for me. When if I take a shot and then I look in the back of reviewing and I see a shot, it's like, oh my God, I actually caught something, so maybe that's what you caught, because it is exciting to see it when I'm so in the moment. Nothing else is around except for me and the camera. So
Yeah.
I'd love to see it. Yeah.
Well, it was $15.98. I think I can.
You give him a
Oh,
discount.
that's
Discount.
cheap. I thought you were going to charge $30. 15's a piece of cake.
You know,
Send me five and sign them all.
I will
Jerry.
post it on our group site.
Yeah.
Oh,
Wait.
that'd be great. Yeah.
Jerry, when you say shooting and you look and you review your images, and out of hundreds or even 1,000 images, you say, "Oh, that I got a great shot." I always look back. I've had it for many years, an Ansel Adams coffee table book, and one of his, he has a ton of quotes, but one of his remarks, and he shot, glass negatives and then film, but you can imagine how many shots he took in a year. Nothing to what we're doing in digital, but he still would take several thousand images a year and develop the prints or the negatives. And in his book, he said that 10 photographs is a good crop for a year's work.
Oh, wow.
Well, when you think
That-
about it,
That
Jerry,
painful. Yeah.
the Ansel Adams coffee table book that you have, there's probably at least half those images probably you couldn't immediately recall. I mean, he has so many great images, but when anybody's good, they still have a ton of body of work. There are Beatles songs that I don't remember.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
That stuck
Which has
with,
nothing to do with my memory, by the way.
when we look at our images and we shoot 300, 500, 800, 1,000 in a day, and you get a few where you say, I did it, I got it. And when he says, 10 photographs is a good crop for a year's work,
Oh, my God.
from Ansel Adams, it puts things in perspective. Yeah, it really
Oh,
does.
I could throw out 99% of mine then, you know.
It's
I don't know if
interesting when you
everybody-
look at all the images, though, just on the screen right now together, it's clear which ones your eyes go right to and which ones
Yes.
sort of you pass. And I think to Calvin, your credit that you've acknowledged the strong ones, and they're just sort of evident as you're looking, just quickly scanning at them all as one entity.
Yeah, definitely. And it's crazy because before I became a photo editor, before I learned how to edit, my edits would be loose. I would say like maybe out of 100, I would edit down to 50, and then I would edit down to maybe like 30. Now it's like I edit down to 10, and then I
Yeah.
edit down to 2.
Yeah.
It's like, man, I've definitely gotten to a point where, I mean, when I look at a set of images, I'm looking for the one. And everything else is secondary. And I don't know, as I was growing and as I was learning that, like, it did hurt because that's the more I realized, like, that photo is almost there. It's almost there, but it's not it. And I feel like that's like part of the chase of photography. It's you're trying to get that photo, and part of it is luck. I mean, you could only prepare so much, but that's the joy of photography. Sometimes you go out and something spectacular happens and you were ready and you get the shot, and sometimes you don't. So
Yeah.
I love photography. It's just and then that said, I mean, like, we're talking about the edit, the one or two that we're all looking for, but then it's like all those things that you don't photograph. Like, I mean, part of what I wanted from this assignment was I wanted people, like Lloyd was saying, to reflect on what love is and find love in their work and think about love. So as much as love may or may not be present in the photography, I think love is like art. It doesn't exist in a photograph. It doesn't exist in a person. It exists in your mind. It's like when you look at art, the art isn't the painting. The art is your reaction to the painting. When you look at someone that you love, the love isn't in them. The love is in how you feel. It's your reaction to it. So it's all relative.
Cool. Well, again, thank you so much for your job of judging with us tonight, and thank you all for doing such a great job of submitting. It gives all of us a wonderful opportunity to learn from each other and to see the world from everybody else's perspective. So thank you all for all you did to make tonight a winner.
And Calvin, to remind you, I'll send you the top images, and then you can give us a ranking for first, second, third place.
Wonderful. Sounds good.
Thank you so much, Calvin.
Yeah, thank
Really
you, Pat.
appreciate it.
Thank you, Calvin.
Thanks,
Great
Calvin.
evening. Great evening.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Bye. Thank you.
Good night, everyone.
Good night.
Good night.
Happy Valentine's.
Happy
Yeah.
Valentine's.
You too.
And Thanksgiving.
Always Thanksgiving.
Uh,
Yeah, thanks
Happy
again.
everything.
Take care.
Take care, everybody.
Yeah, good night.